Hi everybody, it's Beth, and today I'm making a scarecrow out of a cutting board. I grabbed one of the cutting boards from Dollar Tree, a stir stick I get from Amazon, some twine from Dollar Tree, raffia, some fall fabric, a button, the chalk paint I didn't end up using, white, khaki, brown oxide, pumpkin, black acrylic paint, Mod Podge, and hot glue. First thing I did was painted the entire cutting board with Mod Podge. I find it tends to help the paint adhere better without letting it peel. And I dried the entire thing with my heating tool. And then once that was completely dry, I took the stir stick and created a line where I was going to be putting it for the hat, and use that as my guide to where I was going to be putting my paint, and painted the bottom half of it with the khaki acrylic paint. So painted that, and I did 2 coats on the bottom about 3/4 the way down, and I did 2 coats with the khaki color on the front, and then I just ended up painting the entire back part of the cutting board with the khaki color. And again, I did 2 coats with the khaki color. Once the khaki color was dry, I took my stir stick and took my Fisker shears and cut it down because it was a little bit long. Sanded it off on one side and took my brown oxide color, painted the stir stick, the entire thing, front and back. And then I painted the top half of that, the rest of the cutting board. And I did 2 coats on both the stir stick and that top half of the cutting board. So after I had the front done, I marked off where the lines on the hat were going to be on the front and just made a line and painted the hat on the back. Just made a line and painted the brown oxide on the back to match. And I did notice I started to have some peeling, so I would suggest painting a coat or making a coat of the Mod Podge over the paint as well, or some type of sealer after the paint's dry, just so you don't have any peeling paint. And then once everything was dry on the front, I took some raffia and hot glued it to right between where the paints met. And then I added some hot glue where the paints met also, and hot glued down the stir stick kind of at an angle. And then next I had to draw my face. So I do them as like shapes. So I did 2 circles for the eyes, a triangle for the nose, and then a squiggly line for the mouth. And then I just traced out my circles with black acrylic paint for the eyes. And then I traced out my squiggly line for the mouth with the black acrylic paint as well. And I added a couple little angled lines above the eyes for eyebrows. Used my heating tool to dry everything. And then for the nose, I erase my lines. You can still see them, but the orange won't cover the pencil marks as well as the black does. So then I just go over my triangle with the pumpkin orange acrylic paint. And for the eyes and the nose, I do 2 coats of those paints. And then on the mouth, I take a really small brush and just make some little X's on the ends of the mouth. And then across the mouth itself, I just do some little X's to make it look like stitching. And then on the nose, I just make a couple lines in different spots to make it look like stitching. And then on the eyes, I take the back of my paintbrush and dip it in the white paint and just dab it on the eyes. Take a small paintbrush and just make a couple little lines on there. And that's it for the face. And then I take my little piece of fall fabric and just wrap it around the bottom, kind of on the side, and just tie a couple little knots. And then next, I'm just going to make a little twine flower. So I just wrap the twine around my fingers, maybe like 8 times, and pinch it in the center and tie a couple knots around the center, and then cut off the excess. And I'll do that twice. So then I'll just put some hot glue on one and glue them right on top of each other. Kind of just going in the opposite direction. And then fluff the little pieces out. Hot glue them onto the side of the Scarecrow. And then hot glue the little button right to the center. And that is it. I just think he turned out adorable. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video.